Hello everyone. This is a day 6 class recording for Tableau sessions. The first visualization that we're looking at here is where we're representing the sales, profit, as well as profit versus planned profit information in a single view, in a method where we can easily contrast current year and prior year changes, and all of this gets printed on a single paper. So basically we are trying to accomplish to basically we are trying to look at sales profit as well as profit versus planned profit as a single paper in a single worksheet rather than doing it on separate worksheets. So let us go ahead and recreate this visualization. Let me just open up a new worksheet for the same visualization. We connected to the coffee chain data source for this example. The requirement is to look at the sales profit and profit versus planned profit at month level. So the first field of interest or dimension of interest to us is of course date, which automatically gets rolled up at a year level in Tableau. Say I take profit or sales, anything is fine. Say I take profit first, or let me take sales here, sales, and drop it onto the row shelf. It's basically giving me the sales performance for 2010 and 11. I can drill down to quarter level. We can go ahead and drill down to month level as well. Because the dates right now on the screen are discrete in format, which is something that we also identify by looking at the color of the pills itself. Blue color indicating the represent data is represented in discrete format. And the view looks very busy because of the presence of quarter in here. We can slightly change it by removing quarter from the visualization. We are looking at data for 2010 and 2011 across all the months, year and month. But to contrast the data easily, to be able to compare the sales of prior year, which is 2010, with current year, let us say 2011, becomes very difficult with a side-by-side view like this. Instead, if we can have them together as a single view, it would help in understanding, in better understanding, in easily contrasting the data. So the one way we can accomplish is we can just take order date dimension from the column shelf and drop it onto the color shelf. We no longer want order date to appear as a separate pane, one column for 2010, the other for 2011. That is not our intention. We just want to color contrast our visualization. So we drop it onto the color shelf. Once we do that, we can notice here that it's very easy to contrast the sales of current year with prior year, 2011 and 2010. Across and a quick inference that we can draw from here is Jan through April, sales of 2011 has been consistently higher compared to 2010, but for some reason in May it dipped below that of 2010. It and this decrease in the sales with respect to 2010 continues until August. Again, from September through December, the sales of 2011 has been consistently high compared to the sales of 2010. Right? So contrasting the data becomes very easy, comparing the data and thereby drawing meaningful inferences from it becomes easy when we look at the data in a single visualization which is color coded rather than having two separate panes, one for 2010, the other for 2011. Let us also bring in additional information here. Profit, for instance. If I take profit and drop it onto the row shelf, job done. I'm looking at profit of 2011 and profit of 2012 in a single visualization. Clearly, throughout the year, 2011 has been better with respect to profits compared to 2010, though there was slight dip in the sales, right? The next thing that is of interest to us here is to determine whether we have accomplished what we had planned for with respect to profit. The profit measure here gives the actual profits achieved by the business, and budget profit measure tells you about the profit that the management had planned to achieve. But there is no direct field in that is coming from the underlying data source which gives the difference between actual profits acquired and profits planned for. To do that, we have to create a calculated field to subtract budget profit from profit. So we can go ahead and I'll just show you the formula for profit versus planned profit. Profit versus planned profit is a new calculated field which has been created, and the formula applied there is a simple subtraction. Profit, actual profit acquired by the business, minus whatever was planned for, which is present in budget profit field. The difference between the two is nothing but profit versus planned profit. So this is a field that is not present in the underlying data source. It has been created. It is a calculated field. Let me just say okay there. Now I just have to drop profit versus planned profit new calculated field next to profit on the row shelf. So I have three views now, one giving me the sales information, the other giving the profit information, and and the third line chart giving me profit versus planned profit. Consistently, the profits we have the coffee chain business in 2011 has definitely achieved beyond what was planned for, right? Profit versus planned profit is 20,069 in February. So maybe they had planned for something around 14,600 or whatever, and they achieved planned for 10,000, they achieved 12,000. So clearly there is 2,000 additional achievement here. I hope the idea is clear. Whereas in 2010, everywhere profit versus planned profit is negative, meaning we did not reach the goal. We did not reach the target. Whatever was planned for was not attained, was not achieved. Everywhere we are below what we have planned for. So that is about how we can enhance line charts, how we can use calculated fields onto line charts. The next topic that we will discuss while we are on the concept of line charts is area charts. So let me just quickly recreate this sheet which shows us area chart. Area chart can be, you can think of area chart as a combination of a line chart and a stack bar chart, or in simple terms, area chart is nothing but the space between the line and the axis shaded. This is a line chart which is giving me the profits across years of in Superstore business. If I convert or transform this into a line chart, into an area chart by choosing areas discrete on the show me panel, this is what it would look like. So it's nothing but the line with the area between the line and the axis shaded. But this doesn't really bring any added advantage to the visualization. So to look at the true strength or power of an area chart, we will have to combine the line chart with a stack bar chart. Area chart is nothing but a combination of line chart and a stack bar chart. Say for instance, let me drill down to quarter level here, where I'm looking at the profit information for all the quarters in Superstore business across all the years. If I have to further, if I would like to represent this information at category level, I can drag and drop category dimension onto the color shelf. This is basically giving me, or let us just put segment onto the color shelf. That might be more meaningful. Right. So across segments, this is a cumulative view. Just like a stack bar chart, area chart is also a cumulative view. Just by looking at this chart, we know that consistently it appears as if consumer segment is good with respect to profit. Most of the color that is coming up glaring at us as blue. And consistently home office is a segment where the profits are low. Right? So such meaningful inferences we can quickly draw by looking at an area chart, which is nothing but a combination of line and stack bar chart. Basically, it's a cumulative view of whatever we had looked at. With this understanding of an area chart, let us move on and look at another very important concept in Tableau, which is dual axis charts. How do we create dual axis charts? As the name itself suggests, dual axis means two axes. When you represent two measures as two vertical axes on a visualization, it is nothing but a dual axis. For instance, if I take profit and drop it onto the row shelf, I know that there would be a bar which would give me the profit information. Suppose I am also interested in analyzing or looking at what the sales value is for Superstore business. I just have to drag and drop it onto the row shelf. I have one bar indicating profit, I have another bar indicating sales. The length of both the bars are the same because the scales are different, right? How do we combine this into a single view? That is where Tableau brings in a feature called as dual axis concept. The moment you do a drop down on the second pill that is present on the row shelf, which is sales pill, you will see an option called as dual axis which comes up. Basically, we are looking at both profit as well as sales now, profit in blue and sales in orange. The reason why you're not able to look at the blue circle is because it's underneath the orange circle. Let us go ahead and transform this visualization into a bar chart. So I go to the All tab and convert this automatic circle into a bar chart. Right? I still have my blue bar which is behind the orange bar. To make it visible or conspicuous, let us reduce the width of the sales bar. So on the sales tab, reduce the size of the sales bar, width of the sales bar by using the slider. Just slide it backwards. This makes the blue bar at the background visible. So the blue bar is giving us profit values, orange bar is giving us the sales value. But there's a definite flaw in this visualization because if you notice the axes, they are not synchronized. The scales are not the same. That is the reason why it appears as if both profit and sales are going hand in hand in spite of the huge difference in the actual profit and the actual sale value. To overcome this drawback, we just have to synchronize both the axes. The method to synchronize the axis is select the axis itself, right click on that and choose the option to synchronize the axis. Job done. This gives us a realistic picture of what is happening in Superstore business. You have profit which is very very low when compared to the sales. In spite of making sales worth 2000 odd dollars, 2000 odd 1000 K dollars, what we're getting in return is just 200 K dollars. Right? So this is how we can create a dual axis chart, and there's no restriction on the number of dimensions you use here. Say I want to break down this overall information for all of the years, I can just drag and drop order date onto the column shelf, which divides my visualization into giving me the profit and sale value across each of the years. That is about the dual axis chart, how we create them and how synchronizing the axis is extremely important when you're creating a dual axis chart. Otherwise, it wouldn't be giving you a realistic picture. Let us go ahead and create a combination chart in Tableau. After having looked at dual axis chart, there is a definite doubt that creeps in. What if I want to represent a third measure onto this visualization? What if I want to put a fourth measure onto this visualization? Such things can be accomplished using something called as a dual combination chart. Let us go ahead and create a combination chart as we're looking at in this screen now. I'll take order date dimension, drop it onto the column shelf, and then I take the sales measure, drop it onto the row shelf. I'll have a line chart showing me the sales across all the years. For instance, if I want to represent profit as well, not as a second axis on this visualization, but using the same axis, that is called as blended axis. Whenever we represent more than one measure on the same axis, it is called as blended axis. I just have to take the profit measure, drop it, drag it towards the sales axis. The moment you find the ruler icon with a broken square, you just drop it there. You can notice the change in the axis. It's no longer sales or it's no longer profit, it's just value. And what are the values we're looking at right now? We're looking at profit as well as sales, which we can figure out by looking at the measure names pill that goes into the filters pane automatically. Say I want to include another measure here. I just have to edit the filter, include whatever measure is of interest to me. For instance, quantity, and apply. I see a new line here in red which is representing quantity, right? Let me just undo this. I don't want to represent quantity on the same axis. Say I want to create a dual axis which will give me the quantity information. We can always do that. We can combine a blended axis with a dual axis. If I take quantity measure, drop it next to measure values on the row shelf, we know that there's a new chart that will be created. First one giving you measure values. The measure values being given are profit and sales and profit, sorry. and then we have quantity which came up as a separate graph. To merge all of them into a single visualization, we know that we have to use the concept of dual axis. Once I choose dual axis from the drop down, this is what my visualization looks like. Right? I can go ahead and transform this line which is representing quantity to a bar chart. So I choose the quantity tab and convert the mark type to bar. To bring the lines to the foreground and send the bars to the background, we just have to alter the sequence of the measures on the row shelf. If I drop quantity before measure values, this is what it would look like. Now my requirement is to synchronize the axis, of course, to have a realistic picture of what is happening in the business. But Tableau doesn't give the option to synchronize the axis here because the units are different. We are representing monetary units on one axis and the number of products sold, quantity, on the other axis. Synchronizing becomes, Tableau doesn't allow synchronizing when the units are different. Units of data being represented on the two axes in a dual axis are different. However, in order to manually synchronize the axis, you can choose the option of edit axis, select the fixed end of the axis, upper end or upper limit of the axis, right, of the axis with a higher value, apply it on the axis with a lower value. Edit axis, again fixed option, change the fixed end to whatever value you had copied from earlier. Job done. We have synchronized the axis, manually synchronize the axis, and look at where the bars are lying with respect to the profits and sales. So this is expected because the number of products being sold is definitely low compared to the profits made and the sales made. This closes our discussion on combination chart. The next concept that we will discuss as a part of Day 6 course is sorting. How do we sort the data in Tableau? What is the default sort method applied? Let us go ahead and create a visualization which will give us profits at subcategory level. Drag and drop subcategory onto the row shelf and the profit measure onto the column shelf. That transforms the visualization to a bar chart. If you notice the default sort technique that has been applied on this data, it comes up as in alphabetical order, right? Ascending order, alphabetical order, accessories, appliances, art, so on and so forth. However, if you want to alter the default sort that Tableau has performed and define your custom sort, we can always do that from the sort icons present on the toolbar itself. I can sort the subcategory in descending order by profit or in ascending order by profit. The reason why you're looking at profit there is because profit is the only measure that is present on the visualization right now. So just by clicking on the sort icons on the toolbar, you can sort your data in ascending or in descending order, right? Say for instance, I don't want to go by this. I want to apply some other sorting technique. Let us say I want to look at sales as well on the same visualization. So I have a bar chart giving me the sales information. Suppose you want to sort the profits based on sales. We can always do that. On the subcategory pill present on the row shelf, choose the sort option. Choose the field based on which you're going to sort your data. Say I want to sort it based on sales and not on profit. I can do that. Apply and OK. So we are looking at the actual sales value which is sorted in descending order, and for each and every sale we are looking at the corresponding profits. We can say that though the sales for tables is significantly good, tables is actually into losses. Though the sales for bookcases again is significantly good, it is still into losses. Though the sales for supplies is all right, it's still into losses compared to art, envelopes, labels and fasteners where the sales is very less compared to that of supplies. So in order to draw such quick meaningful inferences, we can apply sort. You can bring sales measure to the color shelf to color code your visualization. Instead of having sales also as separate bars, we know that we are controlling the color of the profit bars based on sales value. Darker shade of blue meaning sales is good, and the shade or the color intensity reduces as you reach to the bottom. You reach the lightest shade of blue, meaning the sales for fasteners has been is the lowest, is the least. Best sales or highest sales happening in phones subcategory, least sales happening in fasteners subcategory. You can also go ahead and alter the sorting sequence manually. After you apply a condition, define a condition and sort your data. For some reason, if you want to also custom define the way the products are arranged. For instance, if I want tables, bookcases, and supplies to come up at the bottom of the visualization after applying the sorting technique based on sum of sales, we can always do that by manually moving the products around. For instance, tables, I don't want that to come up as the fourth element. I want that to be present at the bottom. So I'll just move it down by clicking on the down tab there. Next thing is maybe bookcases. I'll move it down again manually, custom defining the sequence of sort here. And finally, we have supplies, which also moves down. Once I apply this sorting, you can see what has happened, right? By default, the sorting has happened based on sales, darker shades of blue meaning good sales, lighter shades of blue meaning low sales. However, I have altered the sort sequence slightly to put the loss-making products together at the bottom of the visualization. That brings us to the end of our discussion on sorting techniques in Tableau. The next concept is filtering. How do we filter out the data in Tableau? Let us go ahead and look at it. We'll continue with the same example where we are looking at profits at subcategory level. Suppose I have a requirement where I want to filter out the data where the products are into losses. There are very different filtering techniques that Tableau provides us. Suppose I want to eliminate all the products that are into losses from this visualization. I can directly select the marks which have negative profits or losses and choose exclude option from the context menu. Once I say exclude, subcategory automatically gets placed on the filters shelf. If you edit the filter, you will notice that there are three categories that have been excluded: bookcases, supplies, and tables. That is one way of applying the filtering technique. I'm doing a Control Z here. Or if I have a requirement where I just want to include or keep only the products which are into losses, base my analysis on the products that are into losses and observe why they are into losses. And I can just use the option of keep only, which will keep only the products into losses on my visualization, basically the products that I have manually selected, and eliminates everything else. Undo. How do I further enhance this visualization? What other filtering techniques can we apply here? Let us go ahead and check it out. On the filter dialog box, we can notice that there are four types of tabs that are present here. General tab, where you make a manual selection, where I manually select and deselect products that I want to represent on my visualization. If I uncheck appliances, accessories, and art and apply the filter, you can notice that accessories, art, and appliances are gone from the visualization. I have selected only 14 values of 17. Wildcard condition helps you further enhance your filtering techniques if it is going to be based on text values or string data. Say I want to look at all the products which start with the alphabet C. Once I apply, visualization gets updated to show me only copiers and chairs, basically the products which start with the C, subcategories which start with the C. I could say I'm interested in looking at products with end with an S. I'm looking at all the subcategories ending with an S. Exactly matches returns the exact value that matches your search or matches your filter criteria, which means you get only one result when you use exactly matches. Binders exactly matches binders. You could also, let me just clear it out. You can also use contains everywhere, every subcategory which contains the alphabet A has to come up. Let us apply that. So these are all the subcategories with the alphabet A. However, we don't have art, accessories and appliances here because we have already eliminated them on the general tab. All these tabs, they work in combination with each other, whatever filter conditions you apply here. We have selected 14 or 17 values. Apart from that, we have applied a condition where we're looking at subcategories which contain A in the name, right? Similarly, we can go ahead to the condition tab. You can also define a condition based on which you want to filter out the data. Say, for instance, you're interested only in looking at uh, products which are into profit. So I can say greater than 0, wherever my profit is greater than 0, and apply it. You can see that bookcases and the other product that was into losses is gone. You're looking at only profit making products. If you're interested in looking at the minimum and the maximum profit value at subcategory level for whatever data you have chosen, you can just say load. It gives you the minimum profit value and the maximum profit value in the data source at subcategory level, based on which you can define your condition. By field allows you to apply only a single condition, greater than or less than. You cannot use multiple conditions in here. When you say by formula, say my requirement is to look at products where the profit is greater than $1,000, or let's say $2,000, and sum of profit which is less than $5,000. So basically I'm interested in looking at products which fall in the range of, where the profits fall in the range of 2,000 to 5,000. Once I say apply, you can notice the change in the visualization. Let us change this value to 10,000 so that we have we'll have sufficient data to look at. Labels and machines are the two subcategories where the profit lies between 2,000 and 10,000. And all these are working in combination with each other, which you can notice when you go to the general tab, right? Contains A, and the profit is greater than 2,000, less than 10,000. And of course, we have manually eliminated 3 products from there. Let me just reset everything, or okay, let's just apply and say okay. Suppose you have a requirement wherein you would be interested in looking at only, let us say we want to look at only the top 5 subcategories or top 10 subcategories with respect to profit. How do we do it? It's easy. We can take the subcategory dimension onto the filter shelf and here use the top tab. We really need not worry about the condition tab if that is the case, because we don't know. The values might change. Chairs, which is the 6th product, may become the 5th product tomorrow, or sorry, binders, which is the 5th product, might become the 3rd product, might go to the top 3, and accessories may come down to top 7 or top 10. It might slide down based on the updates happening to the underlying data source. So in order to be able to dynamically select the top products from your top products or subcategories from your visualization to represent only the top products from the underlying data source, you just have to go to the top tab and choose an option which is appropriate. If I want to look at top 5 profit making subcategories, this is how I define the condition and say apply. So I'm basically looking at only top 5 profit making subcategories in here, right? So that is about filtering. Filtering goes to a whole new level when you're filtering out your data at using an order date field onto to filter your visualizations, to filter the data in the visualization. Say for instance, right now I'm looking at the visualization which is giving me the sales at subcategory level across all the years. All the years, subcategories, and these bars are actually representing the sales. Suppose I want to filter out the data to look at only the sales for 2013, 14 and 15. I want to eliminate 2012 from here. We can always do that. So if I take order date dimension, drop it onto the filter shelf, there's an additional pop-up that comes up before giving us the actual filtering out window. Okay, here we can decide on the level at which we want to filter out the data. Say I want to eliminate data only for 2012. I choose years because I want to eliminate the data or filter the data at a year level, and then say next. This is where my actual filter condition or the dialog box comes up, and then I can manually eliminate 2012 from the visualization, apply and OK. I'm looking at data only for 2013, 14 and 15 now. Let me just remove the order date filter condition. Say for instance, your analysis is going to be based on a range of dates. You can do that. You can decide on the range of dates based on which you want to look at the sales information. Say the CEO of a company, a new CEO took over the reins of the company at on so and so day, right? On 1st September 2013, and you would like to see what the performance or what the trend has been in the sales ever since this new CEO has taken control. So you can probably fix the date. You can give the range of dates. Say this person left the organization on 21st April 2015. So only the range in which you're interested in performing your analysis, you can choose that by manually sliding this or directly inputting the dates. Okay, and then I would say apply here, which updates my visualization, giving me only data for 2013, 14 and 15. And 2015, we're not looking at the entire sales information. We're just looking at data up to April, 21st of April. That is why the length of the bars is very small, very less compared to the rest of the bars. You could fix the starting date, where the end date gets picked up from the becomes the default data source end date. You could fix the end date manually given the end date, where your start date becomes the data source start date. You can decide on whether only null dates have to be represented or non-null dates, or whether both null as well as non-null. You could give a relative condition. Relative to today, relative to this year, if I want to look at information for this year, or if I want to look at information for previous year. This year automatically takes the system date, so which would be 2016. When I apply, I will not be able to look at any visualization of the background, right? Because we don't have data for 2016 in Superstore. If I say previous year, then I will get data for 2015. If I say last 3 years, I get data for 2015 and 14, right? That is how we can apply most of these conditions. Quarter to date, month to date, week to date is also available in Tableau, which is wonderful. Okay, so let me just apply it and leave it there. The next concept that we would discuss now is grouping. How do we create groups in Tableau? Let me create a new sheet for that. I could take the subcategory, drop it onto the row shelf, okay, and profit onto the column shelf. Using this as the input, we were going to look at how we group the data. Two techniques that are used to group the data in Tableau. You can directly choose the mark itself, okay, and then click on the paperclip icon that comes up. This is the icon to group the members in Tableau. Once I do it, automatically Tableau creates a subcategory group for me, and it color codes my visualization. All the products which come under the group, which fall into the group, would be in one color. Rest of the subcategories are all treated as other subcategories, and they are all color coded differently. This is one way of grouping your data directly by choosing the marks itself. We can also create groups in a different way by choosing not the marks but the dimension headers. Same chart that I'm recreating. Now instead of choosing the marks directly to create the group, I choose the dimension headers, bookcases, supplies and tables. And then I click on the paperclip icon to create a group. Look at the differentiation or the difference. It doesn't color code your visualization. It doesn't treat rest of the subcategories as other. It just creates a single bar denoting all the three groups all the three loss-making subcategories put together. Suppose I have a requirement where I want to split this bar into three again, one for each of the subcategory. It's just that all the loss-making subcategories should come together. So you can just drag and drop subcategory onto the visualization next to the group that you created, and job done, right? It gives you, this is the group. Bookcases, supplies and tables was a group which has bookcases as one bar, supplies as the other bar, and tables as the next bar instead of having a single bar. There are a lot of things that we can do, say subcategory group 2 that we just created. We can edit the group. You could rename the group that you created. Instead of having it this way, I can rename it and call it loss making subcategories, right? So you can look at the change now. It's no longer bookcases, supplies, tables. The name of the group is loss making subcategories. You can ungroup the group that you've created. You could put the list of the products into other category, rest of the subcategories into other, edit group. You can choose the group and ungroup it if you don't want that to appear as a group anymore, those products to appear as a group. You could include other, rest of the products automatically go into other category. So what is coming under loss making? Bookcases, supplies and tables. What are the coming under other group? Accessories, appliances, so on and so forth. This is also something that we can do in Tableau with respect to grouping. The next concept that we will look at now is how do you create a set in Tableau? Okay, let me just open a new worksheet for that. See, I'm looking at profits at customer name level. So I'm looking at profits by each of the individual customers present in Superstore. Let me sort the data. If my requirement is to get the list of top 5 customers, I know that I can drag and drop customer name dimension onto the filter shelf. I can go to the top tab and then say that I'm interested in looking at only top 5 profit making customers. My job would be done. But if I don't want to do this process, follow this procedure all of the time, if I have a requirement where I have multiple worksheets giving me top 5 customers by profit, I'm just doing a Control Z here to undo the filter that I applied. We can create something called as a set. How do we define a set? To create a set, go to the customer name dimension based on which you want to filter out your data or create a set and choose the option to create a set. Groups bring similar data together, whereas sets, they help us narrow down our selection, and sets are usually used in combination with filters. Okay, give a meaningful name to the set that you're creating. So top 5 customers is what I want to look at as a part of this set. So that is the name that I give to it. By field, the dialog box to create a set and to define a filter condition are both the same. It's just the wildcard tab would not be present when you're creating a set. See, I'm interested in looking at top 5 profit making customers. I can go ahead and do that. My set, which is top 5 customers, has been created. I just simply have to drag and drop it to the filter shelf and I can filter out my data to get only the customers who are present in the set. There is an option where you can show members who are not present in the set as well. If you choose out here, it gives you the members which are out of the set. But if we say show members in the set, it shows us members, the 5 members that are present in the set. Right? That is top 5 customers. Similarly, I have created another set which gives me the list of bottom 5 customers. This is how this set has been defined, where on the top tab, instead of having top, we choose bottom. This gives us list of bottom 5 profit making customers. Right? I have a set which is giving me top 5 profit making customers. I have a set which gives me bottom 5 profit making customers. If I have a requirement where I need to combine both of them and represent both top 5 and bottom 5 profit making customers as a single visualization, how do we do it? Let us just create the initial visualization where we're looking at customers and the profits associated with them, which I have sorted. Suppose I want to look at top 5 customers. I drop it onto the filter shelf. I get top 5 customers based on the way I define the set. My intention here is to also look at bottom 5 customers. When I put that onto the filters shelf, nothing comes up because whenever you use two sets in combination with each other, by default Tableau gives us the intersection data or the shared members or the common members present in both the sets, common members defined by both the sets. But as we do not have a common member here, it's an empty visualization that we're looking at. To be able to get the union of the data, to be able to look at all the customers present in both the sets, we have to create something called as a combined set in Tableau. The mechanism or the procedure to create a combined set is choose the set that you're going to be using on the visualization. Right click on that and choose the option to create a combined set. Tell Tableau with which other set you're trying to combine this first set. Top 5 customers, I would like to combine it with bottom 5 customers. Define an appropriate condition. Do you want to look at all the members present in both the sets? Do you want to look at only the shared members? Members present in top 5 except shared members. Left join. Members present in bottom 5 except shared members. Right join. Here our intention is to look at all the members in both the sets, so I choose that option and say OK. Let me remove top 5 customers and bottom 5 customers from the filter tab because it's not required anymore. We don't need individual sets anymore. We have created a combined set which is set 2. Once I drag and drop my combined set onto the filter shelf, look at the view now. It's giving me the list of top 5 as well as bottom 5 customers on a single worksheet. That is how we can use the power of a combined set to enhance our visualizations further. So this brings us to the end of our discussion, end of all the topics that we covered as a part of day 6 course of data visualization with Tableau. Thank you so much.